Hey guys, sorry I'm hopping in a little bit late. We had a team call. Janelle Summers spoke on our team call this afternoon and she was amazing, and I didn't want to hop off until she was done sharing all of her goodness because there was so much golden nuggets there. Maybe I'll be able to share with you guys her video that she did for us because it's all on attraction marketing and it was just so good. I love her. So I am just going to wait a second, give you guys some time to pop on. It's funny because I always assume everyone just knows how Instagram works. And obviously that's not the case because there was quite a few of you that said that you wanted me to kind of give like a Instagram 101 type of tutorial. I started using it, I guess like 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. And it was so different then. It was funny because I used to have like a BlackBerry when BlackBerry was cool. And I wanted an iPhone because it was like an exclusive app. Like Instagram was an exclusive app to iPhone. And I was like, I need an iPhone just so I can get that Instagram thing. So I've always kind of had like this cool feeling about Instagram. I love that you can like just see someone's like whole story in one place. And Facebook to me was always a little bit more confusing, I guess. I mean, the way you sort through the pictures, unless it's in an album, like it's harder for you to see. So I'm still sipping on my tropical strawberry. So good. Okay, so there's 20 of you on, so I'll get started. So the first thing about Instagram, and if you guys have your phone in front of you, if you're watching this on the computer and you can kind of look as I talk, one of the biggest things about Instagram that you should know is that first page when you log in, you see your feed, right? But then if you go to like the search function, it brings you to an explore page. And that part of Instagram is kind of one of the we don't talk about it as much. What we tend to focus on and what I talk about constantly is hashtagging and searching hashtags. But what Instagram does is, depending on the kinds of posts you're liking and the kinds of people that you follow, Instagram puts together this collection of profiles of people that you may or may not follow that they think you would like. And that's on the explore page. So what the beauty of this is if you are doing a good job of really developing your niche market and following people that fall within that interest list that you guys have all done, that explore page is going to populate accounts for you and does a ton of work for me. Like it's so simple. So what I do when I first log into Instagram and throughout the day, because I'm popping in there constantly throughout the day, is I go to my explore page and I make it my goal. Hey girl, I make it my goal to try to go to that explore page and follow 5 people from that explore page. And it's funny because some of my coaches, my now coaches, I found through the explore page. One of them is Lindsay Piccolino, who you guys heard from earlier this week. I was in kind of a photographer niche market. I was exploring, trying to network with photographers. Again, with these interest lists, I'm not a photographer. I wasn't ever a photographer. I have an interest in photography. And I also thought in my head, if a photographer loves, taking pictures, she would translate really well into social media. And it was an idea. It panned out a little, but Lindsay, I just clearly remember one of her pictures popping up on my explore page. So, and I ended up, and now she's a star diamond coach and she's amazing. But anyway, the explore page is awesome if you're doing a good job of really following a consistent balance of who you're looking for and who who your interest, your target market is. Okay, so that's the explore page. I really recommend you guys taking some time today to kind of browsing that and look at it and make it a goal for yourself, a personal goal to follow, 5 or so people a day that you find from that explore page. So another thing about Instagram that I wanted to mention for people who are newer to it is kind of how to post on it from other devices, and or if you're posting from the app directly. And you have the option to post into Instagram, post your picture directly in there. And they have filters that you can use, and Instagram has come a long way with the filters they used. When I first got into Instagram, they were very heavy filters, and it was so obvious that you were using a filter. They've gotten a little bit better. So you absolutely can upload the picture directly to Instagram and use one of their filters and then go ahead and post. What I do, and if you guys have been to my Instagram before, you'll see that I kind of have like a white border around my pictures. I do not upload my pictures directly to Instagram. I use an app. It's called Pick, Tap, Go. I have an iPhone. I don't know if Android has this app. I'm not sure. But there are other apps that Android would have, which basically gives you a full frame photo. And so in the Pick, Tap, Go app, it'll say to me, like, do you want this full frame? And I'll click that, and it connects to my Instagram and loads the picture into Instagram. And it allows me to get a full frame picture and not a cropped version of my photo. And by doing that in my Instagram, it creates like a white border, which is a very superficial thing. Like it means nothing as far as, you know, getting people to follow your page or anything like that. But I like the way it looks, like aesthetics wise. And I've had people ask me how I get the white border around my pictures. So I thought I would make mention of that. I think there's an app called like Square Ready or something like that, but there's lots of them. You could just do like a basic Google search for how to get full frame photos into your Instagram, and search for Android apps, search for iPhone apps, and there are apps that will pop up that will allow you to do that. And also what I do is in that Pick, Tap, Go app is where I edit my pictures as well. So I don't actually use my my Instagram app to filter my pictures. My husband just came in and he's on a business call, so let me shut my office door. That's what happens when your husband works at home with you. So anyway, that's what I do as far as editing and uploading it directly to Instagram. I don't use the filters. Snapseed is another app that is great for editing. And then I don't know if Snapseed allows you to connect to Instagram and upload it, but you would need another app like a Square Ready type of thing that would allow you to then post it into Instagram as a full frame. I don't like cutting anything out. But if you are not comfortable editing, or you don't really want to mess with filters, you don't really want to do anything like that. Oh, Zora said she uses Insta Square. Oh, Photify, and it gives you an Insta Square option. That's another one. There's probably tons, but I just like the way it looks visually. So then when you get the picture loaded, then it's time to develop your caption of what you're gonna say in there. And I notice well, Katie, when I do that, it will show me a fuller frame, but my Pick, Tap, Go app will show me even a larger shot. So like sometimes I'll do that with things that I put right into Instagram, like a collage, because the collage, even if you upload it from like Pick, Tap, Go, it still gives you the same proportions because the collage is the proportion that Instagram allows. But like last night I took a panoramic picture and I went to put that into Instagram to see what it would do, and it cropped it. So a lot of the pictures Instagram will give you through their thing, it will give you a wider shot, but it is not necessarily the full shot that you took. And maybe it's just my phone. I have a 7 Plus, an iPhone 7 Plus. But anyway, that's just one little thing I do. So now captions of Instagram posts. And this is where like a lot of people kind of struggle. I will tell you one thing that I hate. And that's a strong word, but I really don't like it. When someone has 20 hashtags in their caption on Instagram, it makes me cringe. No, we don't want to do that. So on Instagram, you're better off with short, clever captions. I have found that to be true. That people are browsing their Instagram and something quick and clever tends to grab. With Instagram, you're focusing on imagery. You're focusing on the imagery itself. and you're not as much focused on the text. If you want to have something very heartfelt and long, Facebook allows you much more space and a much larger caption to do that. So usually with Instagram, I try to keep it short and sweet. Yes, I do calls to action on Instagram, and yes, they are longer, and I'm going to get to that in a minute of how I break those down. And but usually short, clever captions. What I will say is what we talked about in our last talk with hashtags. In the comments section is where I put my hashtags, and they're the same group of hashtags that go on every post regardless. And how I do that is I put them in my notes in my iPhone, which Android I'm pretty sure has a note section too. But if you try to type the dashes and press enter, Instagram won't let you do it. So I put everything in my notepad. You do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dashes in a row. I think it's 5. I might have to double check. But then the next line, hashtag, and drop the list of hashtags. So that's how I do it. And I put it in the comments section of the post. And the reason why I do that is because, like I just told you, I really hate going to a picture and seeing something like, oh my God, it's so beautiful outside. I just love this weather. Hashtag sun, hashtag sky, hashtag outside today, hashtag Monday, hashtag Friday. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm so distracted by all of your hashtags that your caption confused me and I'm not even looking at your picture anymore. So don't stick a ton of hashtags in the caption, and try to keep the caption short, sweet, to the point, clever, whatever it is. Unless you are sharing, a story, and I will put those in there, and whatever. But that's kind of rule of thumb. And then in the comments, so if you break them with those dashes, if you put it in the comment and kind of break it that way, you don't see the hashtags unless you're clicking comment and people are commenting, and then you can see it written out. But if someone's just looking at your picture, it'll show like your name and then nothing, like a drop down, like to keep reading kind of thing. But it's kind of hidden, and I like that better. And I've done research on this too, and even big Instagram accounts, I'm talking like hundreds of thousands of followers, they use that same method because they want to reach this target audience that they're looking for, but they don't want to be distracting to the imagery. Brooke, should I go back through and delete all my hashtags? Girl, I did it too, okay? I did do this. If someone scrolled back to like my 2013 pictures, I totally did it too. So don't feel bad. But I would maybe do it if you have some time, like from the last couple weeks of posts, and just get rid of it and kind of clean it up. Another thing that, while we're kind of on this topic of cleaning up, when I decided what kind of imagery and what kind of, color scheme, for lack of a better term, I wanted to use on my Instagram, which if you guys follow me, I'm Jenn Fit Couture on Instagram, everything is mostly bright. I like bright, clear, crisp imagery. And I do this on almost every picture. I use the same set of filters because I want someone to identify kind of that imagery with my brand. And so when I've been doing this for 2 years now, 2 years of this specific imagery. And I went through my Instagram as much as I could. I'm sure if you really scrolled back there, which please don't, there's some awful pictures still in my Instagram, but I tried to delete what was recent so that when someone if they did take the time to scroll through my feed, all of my pictures looked very cohesive. They looked very much the same. So I do think using a similar design style, color scheme on your pictures on your Instagram is very important. So kind of figure out like, what do you want to do with that color scheme? So I use Steph Davies as an example all the time with this because she has such a clear design scheme on her Instagram, but it's completely different than mine. Mine is very bright, light colors, like pops, and hers is like more dark and muted, but it just looks so cool. And it's kind of funny to me because she's like Pacific Northwest and I'm in the Southeast, I'm in Florida, and those kind of imagery really identifies like where we're at. So anyway, that's just like a separate thing, but about what Brooke was saying about kind of cleaning up the hashtags, if you go through and you really want to make your Instagram visually appealing, kind of get rid of those pictures. And it's funny, you know how we have like the Facebook thing now, it's like on this day, and it will give us like a flashback of like what our pictures were like. Sometimes when those like 2012, 2013 pictures pop up, I cringe at myself. Like some of the food pictures I posted looked like I threw up on my plate, and then I took the picture with like, I turned off all the lights, and then I took a picture of my dinner in like a dark room that looked like throw up. So listen, we all start somewhere, guys, all right? So if you feel like, man, I just cannot get my pictures to look good, it takes time, and hopefully like these different tips and tricks, I didn't have any of these when I started. I was kind of like learning as I went. They help you, and you won't have to look back and cringe at your old photos. Someone said something that I wanted to, oh, Sarah, you went to school for design. I used to do that before I really started with Beachbody, but there is no money in that, girl. At least not for me. Amy said, it still links all of the hashtags to your pic. Yes, okay, that was what I wanted to talk about. That's why when I saw that comment come through, I wanted to go back to that. So Instagram allows 25 hashtags, unless it's changed. Pretty sure it's 25. If you try to post a comment and it has too many, it will say cannot post, redo. And then you know that you have to delete the other hashtag. I'll have to go through and count mine, but it will say like you have to delete it. So what happens though, and I thought I was outsmarting Instagram by doing this, but I would put those 25 or whatever hashtags into the comments, right? Like I was just telling you guys with the dashes. And then I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna edit my caption and add some more hashtags. And I would plug them in, and Instagram would let me. And I'm like, oh, sweet. So basically I got 25, and then I'm adding some here or whatever it is. Is it 30? I can't remember. I have 2 sets of hashtag clusters that I use, and one of them, when I post it, it's always telling me I'm over, because I always put a couple hashtags in my caption, and I'll have to go back and check. But, okay, so I thought I was outsmarting Instagram, and I was getting those extra hashtags in the caption. But Instagram is smarter than me, and if you have reached your hashtag limit, even if it allows you to type the hashtag, it won't show your picture. So I would do my 25 or whatever in my comments, and then I would put them in my caption, and I'm like, mom life, perfect, adding that one in there. And then I'd click on it, and it would say no, like my picture wouldn't show up. So Instagram has figured out that we are trying to be sneaky and add more hashtags in, but it won't work. So whatever the max is, if it's 30, if you try to add more, it won't let you. And if people try to comment on your post, if I try to comment on my own post, like using another hashtag, it won't allow you to do it. So we have to be very careful which ones we're choosing. On that topic, hashtags again. Gosh, I just talk about hashtags all the freaking time. I dream of hashtags. I try to use my cluster in the comments, but I'll delete a couple and I'll add hashtags into the caption to keep it within, Instagram guidelines that pertain to the picture. So let's say I'm taking a picture with my Shakeology. I would have something in the caption that's like Shakeology lover, love my Shakeology, whatever. That will be in the caption, but then nothing in the comments will have to do with that. It'll just be like some little extras. Hashtag Queen Sandra. Yes, I am just all about the hashtags. So that is another thing with kind of how that works with the hashtags and the captions. Someone was asking, when I do posts that are longer and I want to kind of break up the spacing, what I do is I put a little dash. Here's the trick though, guys. At the end of the sentence, you need to make sure that there isn't any space at the end. So sometimes when I'm typing, I'll type and I'll click the space and then I'll click enter and then I'll keep typing. And then even if I put the dash in, when I go to press post, it'll smush everything all together and it won't work. So what I found I need to do is I need to go in and click delete, so the delete button back, so there's no space between the last thing that you typed, whether it's an exclamation point or whether it's a letter, whatever it is, that there's no space. And then you can hit enter, click your dash, make sure there's no space, click enter again, and then continue to type. Like I was saying before, with keeping the captions shorter, Instagram wants us to focus on the imagery when we use Instagram. They don't want these long, drawn out things. So something that I do when sometimes I will condense what I'm trying to say to get it to fit the characters that are allowed in the post. But other times, as a tool, as a way to cross people over to my Facebook, if it's like, for example, let me just give you an example because this won't work with call to actions. It usually only works when you're telling a story. So I was diagnosed with thyroid issues like a month or so ago. And I have been updating my Instagram because I've developed this following of other people that have gone through this and are going through it. And so I share my story there. But because I like to type and sometimes it gets lengthy, Instagram cuts me off. So what I've started doing is I've actually linked my personal Facebook page into my Instagram bio, and I will end the story. I'll be like, Instagram's cutting me off. To hear the rest of it, visit me on my Facebook page. Link is in my bio. And people, after they've invested some time listening to the story that you're telling, and it can be about anything. I've seen people do it with birth stories. I've seen people talk about like food, for example. Like they'll post amazing looking dish, and then they'll talk a little bit about it, and then they'll be like, if you want the recipe, head over to Facebook. So it's ways to like bring people back over to Facebook because they've already invested in wanting to know more. And so they'll head back over there. So that's something I do. But to space it out, to be able to have a longer post, I do that with the dashes and the captions. What about apps that help with hashtags, like finding them or something like that? So Katie, I don't know if you saw the last video I did, but I really dove into how to do that, how to create hashtags, how to know what hashtags to use. I did it, I think it was it last Monday? I think I went live in here. But that really spoke to that. And this, if you really want to get a good hashtag list, there's no shortcuts with it. You need to invest the time into what your interest list is and what hashtags pertain to that. And then researching those hashtags on Instagram to see the people using them. It's annoying, it's tedious, it's not something I enjoy doing, but it's worth it. So worth it. I think, yeah. I mean, there's so many different ways that you guys can bring people back over. But the way I look at Instagram is it's like my get to know Jenn, kind of not a highlight reel, but sort of, because you like I said, Instagram focuses on the imagery. And so you're showing pretty pictures and shorter captions. And then on Facebook is where you kind of dive into more of who are you and like what are you all about. And it allows you to share things like things that you think are funny. It allows you to type status updates where you're talking about different things. And I feel like people just get to know you a little bit more on Facebook. So Instagram to me is your tool to find people that are like-minded. And then your goal is to bring them over to Facebook. So every which way you can try to bring them over there, you want to do that. How do you get your Facebook link? That's a good question. So when you log into your Facebook, at the very top, it'll say your name. And then you click that and it'll bring you to like your main page of your Facebook. Then you click the URL and it will say what your URL, it's a tongue twister, is. And you can set your username too. If you've never done it before, you can set your username to whatever it is you want. Mine used to say Violas because that was my maiden name, and then I had to request a change to Facebook that I change it. And now that I'm Jenn Richardson, and there's like a gazillion Jenn Richardsons, I'm Jenn Richardson 6 on Facebook. So that is my URL for my personal page. And then your business page is the same thing. You click on that. If you have a business page, if you want to direct people over there, you can do that too. I direct everyone to my personal Facebook. I have a business page. I use it, but I develop almost all of my relationships on either Instagram or my personal Facebook. Margaret, I used your advice when I switched up my hashtags last week. I got a whole new audience. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to hear that. That makes me so happy. I feel like when you really hone in on who your market is, it just is a game changer because those people are so much more receptive to your posts. So that's kind of like basic Instagram type stuff, like why I use it, and how I use it. But like I said at the beginning, that explore page is awesome. And then again, on your toolbar, when you see like the little magnifying glass, it allows you to click that, and then you can search for users, and you can search for hashtags. You can do it both ways. Something funny that I did recently is I typed in like Jenn Richardson, types in my name, and I saw all of the Instagram accounts that had the same name as me, and just like a fun little thing, I was like, what if I follow all these girls? What are the chances that they'll go and follow me back since we share the same name? Would you believe that every single person that I followed that day like followed me back? So if you guys are like, sometimes we overthink ways to find people, but think of any way you can bridge a connection with someone. Like, what do you have in common with someone else? Like, I think other people are like, oh, that's cool that she has the same name. Another thing I did was, my son is Parker Noah, that's his first and middle name, and then Mason Chase. And I searched those hashtags, and I found a bunch of people that have those names too. It's funny because one girl I connected with, I think she's still one of my customers. She has Parker and Mason. She has two boys, Parker and Mason, and she was using that hashtag, and I was using it, so we connected on that too. So anyways, just different ways to think outside the box for you to find new people. Heather, yes, that's perfect. Dana, when you message people on IG, what are you typically saying? Are you following form? CCQ, I don't know what that is, girl. I don't speak that beach body language. Just something about their photos. Okay, thank you for saying that, Dana, because I wanted to talk about the inbox feature. So if you click on the top, I wish I had a way of going live on my computer so I could show you guys my phone. But if you click at the top, there's like 3 little dots at the top of your Instagram. You click that, it says like send a message, like when you're on someone's profile. So you can send a message that way. And I will say this about Instagram's messaging system. And I found a couple hacks that helped me to do things a little bit better. So what I would do when I would message them originally, as I would try to get right out of Messenger and go to email, and then do the rest of the conversation there. But to me, it made things harder, and I lost people, because it's like every time you move them, you have the potential of them just not really, responding. So now I try to keep everything in my Instagram message box. And my Instagram message box is so much like my Facebook message box now, just different people that I'm connecting with. So anyway, what I would do when I would first message them, and to what Dana said, what am I saying? It's always about their picture. Always, 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 always. It's always about their picture, something that they posted. I try to ask a question because, and this happens to me now, people will direct message me, and if they're like, ooh, that looks good. Sometimes I'll write back with like a smiley face, but like, what do you say to someone that says, ooh, that looks good? Thank you? Or I don't know. I'm always kind of like stumped when I get a message like that. Like, okay, well, here's a smiley back. Thank you. But where's the conversation going to go from there? It's not really a great way to start the conversation. So what I do is I ask a question about something that is in their picture. So when I was going through the mommy phase, like with babies, I was obsessed with like diaper bags and strollers. And like I would message them and be like, oh my God, I love that stroller. What kind is it? Do you like it? Does it fold up easy? Like questions, right? Because that mom clearly did research on her stroller. She has an opinion about it. She will talk about it with you. Do you know what I mean? So every time you message somebody, make sure you're saying something that they're able to respond to and that can develop the conversation, further. So that's what I do. It's always a question, something that can like get some sort of response from them. Here's another thing with Messenger. There is no hyperlink feature in Instagram Messenger. Like if you send a link, which don't we do that often? Like if someone's like, ooh, I want like, what's that video? Like your What is Coaching video, or what's that link to those Shakeology recipes and whatever, you know what I mean? Even your Beachbody, like if someone wants to buy something on Instagram, you're like, well, what's your email? Because I'll send you the link to your email and then I'll chat with you back over here. So what I found is, and this is how I do everything. I give them the link. It has to be in its own message box. And this might sound so basic to you guys, but it wasn't basic to me. And since this is Instagram 101, I figure I'll just lay it all out there for you and take it as you wish. But the link has to be in its own message blurb. Like it's all by itself with no other text. And then they can click it, like hold on it with their thumb, and it will pop up like copy. And they can copy and paste the link into their browser. So what I do with like invites and where I'm talking to them about like glimpse into coaching, for example, or my mentorship program, there's like a fly and it like wants to get into my Shakeology and I'm like, back off. I will say to them a little message blurb like, hey, I'm so excited you're interested in my glimpse into coaching group, or I'm so excited you're interested in my new coach mentorship. I am going to send you a link to a 5-minute video that I did that kind of explains what coaching is, how it works, how my team works, all that good stuff. If you're interested after you watch the video, let me know and we'll go from there. Send. Then I copy and paste the link that they need to click to watch my video. Paste. Then I say, hold down, press copy, and paste that link into your browser since Instagram doesn't let us hyperlink. And they do it. And it has made my life so much easier, guys, like so much easier, because then I can keep all the conversations in one place. Because what would happen was I would message these people on Instagram. We would cross over to email. Then when you're doing your follow-ups, you're like, where do I go? Do I go to Instagram? Do I go to email? And it's like double the work. So I think that way has worked so much better. And since Instagram is doing better with their message feature, it's great. Another thing about their message feature that I've noticed that a couple other people have brought up to me, messages, it's like a glitch, but they'll like disappear. So you'll click on it and it will be like an empty box and you're like, oh God, where'd it go? Or like the message will just disappear. If you like, what I do is to clear out my browsers, I just exit out of the app and then I go back in and it pops back in. So that's just kind of like a workaround if that happens. It is annoying, but it's just one of those things. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, Misty, it's great. Like I really love that Instagram is trying to understand that people are using Instagram as not just a way to share pictures anymore, but really as a community to like network and get to know people. So it's awesome. Comment, compliment, question. Yeah, I mean, I guess I would. Dana said that about, as that was the CCQ thing that I didn't speak the Beachbody lingo. I would guess that's pretty much how I would do it. Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily like comment and say, hey, I inboxed you, like check your message, but I will be commenting. And then if that particular picture strikes me, I will say, you know, I'll pop over and I'll ask the question. I guess I do compliment too. That's kind of funny that it's laid out like that, because I guess I do. I'm like, oh my God, I love that stroller. It's so cute. Like, what kind is it, you know? So I definitely think that's like a good method to use. And yeah, Margaret, keeping it simple. Okay. Yes, it really is simple. It's so basic. And I know Instagram can kind of feel overwhelming because it is so different than Facebook, but it really, it's pretty just kind of basic. I think the hardest thing with Instagram is figuring out the imagery and making your pictures look pretty and then getting them there. I think that's the hardest part. How many IG posts each day? This is another thing that I go back and forth with about. I tend to post 3 times a day. That's kind of my magic number. And here's why. I post in the morning. I didn't today, I don't think. Gosh. But usually post in the morning, post in the afternoon, post in the evening. And the reason why I do this is because different people in my target market are going to be checking into Instagram at different times of the day. So I kind of want to accommodate those different time frames and catch different people. The way Instagram works, and I don't want to like overwhelm you guys with algorithm talk, but what happens is if your post isn't getting a lot of traction, it will not bump up into your Instagram followers' feeds. So if you, like, say, get 1 like on the picture, it is unlikely that a lot of your followers will see that post because Instagram doesn't think it's like newsworthy content and it won't really show up anywhere. So you want to kind of think about when are people mostly looking at my posts? What time frame is that? And then if you're not posting 3 times a day and you're only able to maybe post once a day, at least post once a day, at least once a day, but don't post 6 times a day. Like, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to be over posting, but you don't want to be under posting. I say like 1 to 4, 4 being max. is a good frame. Something else really quick, Instagram is letting you upload 2 pictures at one time now to kind of like create a carousel. I have yet to do it, but I've seen other people do it and it's pretty cool. I will say that I don't know if everyone knows that it's doing that, so your second picture might get lost in the shuffle. But yeah, I mean, it's just more features that Instagram is using to, you know, try to make it more appealing. Have I ever had problems with IG not uploading your videos? This has been happening a lot lately. I do not upload a lot of videos, so I probably wouldn't notice. I've never had an issue with it. If I did, it's because my Wi-Fi wasn't good and I had to turn my Wi-Fi off and just use like my signal, so it might be a connectivity thing. Because videos are larger, they can fail in the midst of being uploaded depending on how much bandwidth is being used at one time, like on Instagram in that moment, and then you have to, you know, try to re-upload it. But no, I would say it probably is a connectivity thing. Try to turn your wireless off maybe. Danielle, I love Instagram. I have a hard time making my page look attractive and pretty though. Any suggestions? Really, it's kind of what I was saying at the beginning of deciding what is visually appealing to you. What do your eyes gravitate towards? Do you like darker, kind of like muted tones? Do you like that kind of color scheme? Do you like bright? Do you like things very crisp? Do you like black and whites? Like what is visually appealing to you? Because your target market is going to be appealing, you know, is going to think that's appealing also. So I would kind of get some concept in mind and then use an app like PicTapGo or Snapseed or whatever it is that you have on your phone. I have some thread in here that is like making posts pretty, and I share all my favorite apps. I can bump that too. Maybe it's not in here. It was in one of our social media groups that we had, but I can try to bump that up. I just jumped in, so not sure if this was covered, but do you share the same things to every social media outlet, or how do you choose and pick? So I used to share, and that's another thing while we're on this topic. Don't click the share button from Instagram to Facebook. They have done research on that kind of viewing that happens when it's a crossover like that, instead of a uploaded photo directly to Facebook versus a shared photo from Instagram to Facebook. So even if you're sharing the same content, you want to make sure it's a direct upload and not a shared upload. So that's something for sure to think about. But I say that I do probably share the same pictures like back and forth. Sometimes I'll only post something on Instagram and I won't post it on Facebook. Sometimes I'll post it on Instagram and I'll post it on my business page and not my personal page. Everything on my personal page and Facebook mostly is in an album. And personal page, it's personal. I share a lot of things about my kids, their school, like things I do day to day. And I have those in albums. And then I have a Coach Life album that I put coaching posts into. So everything on my Facebook page is like broken down that way. Something you could do if you're resharing the content is posting it at different times. So if you post on Instagram at like 12 p.m., wait until 1 p.m. to post it on Facebook, because then different people are seeing it, as opposed to someone that's on Instagram and Facebook, because a lot of us toggle back and forth between them, then the same people are seeing both. So maybe being conscious of your timing. Rachel, not sure if you covered this, but how have you been utilizing the IG Stories feature? I love it. I was really hesitant at first, and I'm glad that I waited to use it because there were a lot of glitches with it and they seem to have worked it out. But I get much more viewership on my Instagram stories than I do on my Snap. So part of me, I was actually talking to Brandy Botts about this the other day. I'm like, I'm getting almost double the views on my Instagram versus my Snapchat. Should I like not use my Snapchat? She's like, no, girl, you gotta use both of them. So I'm still using both. Sometimes I share the same picture. Sometimes it's totally different. I do notice I talk a lot more on my Snapchat, like where you're telling a story versus Instagram stories. I will do more consecutive snaps as opposed to Instagram stories. Like example, with Instagram stories versus Snapchat. Snapchat, if I'm cooking something, I will show them the process of me cooking that recipe. I will show them like me cutting up the food, and then I'll show it cooking, and I'll show, you know what I mean? Like I'm showing all the details. And with Instagram stories, I will just show I'm about to start cooking, and then I'll post the finished product. So Instagram stories is like, to me, a more condensed version of Snapchat. But if you're using Instagram stories, it allows your followers a way to connect with you and message you the same way I'm telling you guys to message them questions. You can ask them questions based on those stories. You're giving yourself an opportunity for them to reach out to you too. So I do use it and I love it. With that, kind of, we were talking about how many posts a day to put on Instagram. I try to tell myself, rule of thumb for Instagram stories, maybe have 6 to 10, stories, and then Snapchat is just, it could be a ton, totally different. Let me see if I missed anything. Yeah, Stephanie, I don't know if that answered your question about how I'm sharing things to each platform, but I guess with my business page, I'm more likely to post my fitnessy stuff if I am doing more pictures in a sports bra, little shorts, because those kind of body transformation pictures are very important to our business to show that these products work and these programs we're doing are working. But on my personal Facebook, I'm a homeroom mom for my kids' kindergarten class, so I have a lot of other moms that follow me. I think my kids' teachers follow me, so I'm always like a little bit more cautious of those more out there kind of things. I also try to keep calls to actions on my business page and on my Instagram versus my personal page. You know what I would say to you guys as kind of like an answer to that question? Where do you feel comfortable? Like, what makes you feel the most comfortable? And for me, I've always felt the most comfortable on Instagram. I just do. So pretty much everything will go on Instagram for me. And I'm a lot more cautious what I'm putting on my personal Facebook. That will vary for everybody. I like some of my coaches, like Brittany Iben, for example, I think she popped on. She tells me like Facebook is her jam. Like she just feels good there. She feels comfortable there. She'd much rather post on Facebook than somewhere else. So it'll just depend like how you feel. And you know what I'm saying? What makes you feel comfortable? The thing with social media, guys, and Instagram and any of these platforms is you're not going to want to use it if it doesn't make you feel good. It doesn't make you feel comfortable. So I would say, kind of gauging it on where do you feel most comfortable sharing that message or that content. And to call it another one of my coaches, I think Jessie Nelson's on here right now too. She had a lot of resistance with her family in what she would post. And I'm sure a lot of you guys deal with that. Facebook is more personal. So if you don't feel comfortable sharing like money details about like your Beachbody business, it's taboo. I put all that stuff on Instagram because I just feel like it's my safe place. That's just how I feel. Chris said, suggestions for either using a business versus a personal IG account. I wasn't sure if I should change from personal to business. I am so glad you asked that. That's such a great question. Here's the thing with how the algorithms, love that word, works again with that. So since Facebook bought Instagram, they are intertwined. So if your business page does not get a lot of traction, you don't have many followers, you're not getting a lot of likes and comments on your pictures, if you switch your Instagram account to that business account, it will pull that same algorithm used on your business page to your Instagram. So an example for me, I was not using my like page at all. I would like post on it very randomly and sporadically. And I was like, ooh, I love on Instagram how they have the contact button when you switch to a business account. So I did that. And then I noticed my likes went down like a lot. The engagement on my posts went down. I really hadn't changed anything else. Nothing else had changed. So I did some research on it and I found that they're tied together because they are connected. So if you do not get a lot of engagement on your business page, you don't want to create an Instagram business account. What I did do though is I recently made the decision to invest in ads, which is a topic for another day, but I don't recommend them as a new coach. I'm 4 years in and I just started doing it. But so because I started running ads, my like page, Facebook liked that. They liked that I'm spending money, and by switching my Instagram to that account, the business account, my likes went up, my engagement went up. So, and I remember Nikki Whiting and I talked about this, and she had said something similar. If you guys go to Nikki Whiting's business page, it's amazing. I mean, like, she gets so much traction on it. And all of that traction, Facebook's like, Nikki Whiting is awesome. Like, people love her stuff. We are going to increase the engagement on her Instagram too. So it's very connected process. And that was a long way of basically explaining that you shouldn't do it unless you're actively working your business page. Kelly, I'm so glad you feel like that too. Jesse, sorry I had to call you out, friend, but I know so many people are in that same boat. Okay, I think I answered all of the questions. I will, if you guys have any questions for me really quick, comment with them and I will wait a minute to see if any come in. And if not, I will go ahead and hop off. And make sure you guys are all tuning in at 4 Eastern time for Nikki, her live video. It's going to be amazing. Nikki, I tell her all the time I want to be Nikki when I grow up because she's just, I love the way she runs her business and her social media is so on point and she's just awesome. So make sure that you guys are tuning in. Heather, yeah, I changed mine back too after that initial thing. I was like, oh my gosh, what happened? Like, why are my posts suddenly not getting as much traction? It's because my business page was like a whomper. Just wasn't any good. All right, guys, I think I've tapped you out. So I'm gonna X out of this. If any of you guys are watching the playback and have a question that I didn't answer, I will go ahead and answer that in the comments. Misty, will you share your opinion real quick about picking a name for your Facebook like page? So I thought about that a lot when I picked mine, and I ended up doing Jenn Richardson, like my name, and then slash, like one of those little dashy things. I don't know what they're called. Backslash? Backslash. And then I put Fit Couture because that's my team name and it's kind of like my brand name. I do everything Jenn Fit Couture. So I thought kind of mixing them both. So I would say to have your name in there somewhere, and then put maybe a dash, a slash, something like that, and having your business name if you're at that level in your business where you have that. And then there was discussion the other day, a couple of us in the 15 Star Diamond group were talking about how to set up your business page as far as what classification it is. I have mine set to public figure, which to me felt very pretentious. I don't really think of myself as a public figure, so it was weird to classify myself like that. But I couldn't really find another subtopic or whatever they're called to call myself. Nikki said she does community. That's what she titled hers as. So I don't think there's any right or wrong answer with how you set up your like page, but there are a couple different options on which one you pick. Katie said, how many times a day do I post to Facebook? I would say like 2 or 3 times a day. Like I was saying with the albums, like for example, let's say it was something going on in my kids' life, I might be posting once to their album, once to my February or March album. I do monthly albums, posting in there. It might not be Beachbody related at all on my personal Facebook, but you want to at least be posting once a day on your Facebook because of that algorithm thing I keep talking about. If Facebook sees your account is stagnant, where they don't feel like you're constantly posting on it, they will think you're not as relevant, and they won't boost your posts into other feeds of other people because they don't think people care to see your stuff. And they base this off of how much interaction your page is having daily. So you want to at least post a couple times a day. Margaret said Instagress. I do use Instagress. I don't use it to find followers. I feel like that method just does not work. Like I was saying earlier, there's just not a good shortcut with that. Some of you guys have, his name is Jay Encidio. I don't know how to say his last name. I have used him with my social media, with my Instagram for like a year or so now. Basically, he's doing everything I told you guys to do with your hashtags and stuff like that. He's just doing it for me. You could do it yourself and you don't need to pay someone. If you don't have a lot of time and you want to invest $60 a week to have him do it, he can mass follow people using the hashtags you give him. So you need to first put together that interest list and that hashtag list, and then you'll give that to him and he will go through that hashtag list and he will mass follow the people for you. And then you would basically, and what I do is I look through my feed, and that's how I'm like interacting with people in addition to searching the hashtags on my own. But I use Instagram to comment and interact with my followers that I already have. There's a way to comment on your feed. There's an option in Instagram to do that. And I do that. I just put hearts, like little emoji hearts, which pretty much, whether it's sad, bad, happy, whatever, hearts are usually like a universal language of okay. I mean, someone's dog dies, heart. Someone gets married, heart. I used to have like a wording, and that got messy real fast because I think I commented on somebody's dog dying and it was like, yay, and awful, bad. Don't do that. All right, last one, and then I'm gonna hop off. Did you say you got your like page back up by ads? I haven't used mine in a while. I did Jesse Reagan's social media training, which was great. But even in my opinion, doing all the things that he says to do, I didn't get a lot of likes on my posts. So what I have found, and Janelle Summers was talking about this on my team call today, what I have found is taking a call to action. So right now, if you guys go to my like page, you'll see at the top there's a pinned ad. And I've had it running for I think 2 weeks. And that is the ad I'm running. And that's all I'm doing. So that one ad is gonna get a lot of traction, but by that one ad getting a lot of traction, I am getting other people to my page. So I went from I wanna say I had 11,600 followers, and now I have 12,100, I think. And I think maybe the ad was 3 weeks. I think it's been 3 weeks because I started running it the second week of February. But anyway, so by taking that one post, that one call to action, and spending the money to boost that, it helps viewing on your like page in general, but that doesn't mean that the other posts are gonna get a ton of traction. I have some posts on there that only get 3 likes, 1 like. I just never know what's gonna happen, but that one post I'm running the ad on, that's the one that gets the most traction, if that makes sense. And I will say this as rule of thumb, I talked to a ton of different social media marketing companies that do ads. If you don't have an ad budget of at least $500, your ad's not really gonna go anywhere, which to me is a huge number. And I just was, until recently, I wasn't even willing to do that. But if you see a lot of top people or coaches or people outside of Beachbody, whatever, and they've got tons of viewing on an ad, it's usually because they have a really healthy ad budget for that ad. So anyways, I dove off topic from Instagram a little bit, but hopefully that helps and kind of gave you a basics of Instagram and the ins and outs and how it works. And again, if you guys have any questions, just let me know and I'll answer them. And be on at 4 o'clock for Nikki. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.